listening to Three Quirks and a Twerk at 89.3 FM.
This is my station.
Action.
It's just insane and I love it.
Entertainment.
Hey guys, it's Selena Gomez.
Hey, this is Ed Sheeran.
Hey guys, it's Taylor Swift.
Entrepreneurs.
You need to learn this business, and this is the time to do it.
And empowerment.
Become an insider, so you have to know the rules before you get the game.
It's Friday.
I can't believe that it's Freaky Friday.
YB Moody, shake that booty and tune in to the voice of the continent.
You're tuning in the Three Quirks and Twerk, 89.3 FM. Valentino, how are you doing?
Oh, it's great to be back in the studio.
It's been a while, isn't it?
No, it's been like 7 days.
We love radio, right? So 7 days to me, it's like been a bloody whole year.
Look, you know what? 9 years we've been doing this.
9 years.
Yes, we've brought in so many professionals and experts and entrepreneurs
correct.
Rocket scientists to people,
comedians,
comedians,
politicians, counsellors, jokers, and today we're going to be talking to a doctor about cancer.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
so that's interesting as well.
Cancer is a very important topic right now.
I guess as a woman, there's a lot of passions out there with terms of cancer. And I've noticed that within our community, a lot of women are devoting so much time and energy and supporting cancer research. And
men, I see men too.
Yeah. I guess men, I think they're pretty stupid, us men, because we don't focus a lot on ourselves. We always ignore ourselves, and that's our issue.
But I suppose women are more caretakers,
yes,
right?
Yes. We just go out there, we work, we champion for the family, and we neglect ourselves. But 2026, I think it's the opposite now. We men, we do care a bit about ourselves. We do take time. We go to the doctor and do research, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Since we've got our guest here, let me share
Shares
Dr.
bio?
James
Yes.
Garner's bio, right?
Okay,
so
let's do that.
James studied medicine at Imperial College London. After practicing for a few years, he undertook an MBA at the University of Queensland and joined Bain & Company as a management consultant. In 2003, he entered the pharmaceutical industry, where he has contributed to the development of dozens of novel medicines. So, welcome, James.
Yes, Dr. James Garner, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you guys today.
Did you like that bio?
I was very flattered. It makes it sound very, very exciting. So thank you.
Yes. We'll bill you for that, because that's extra bio. You know, that's a lot of work for our team to put together.
I was taking notes as we were going. I'm going to use some of that.
So now you're with the Percheron group, and I guess your company is developing high impact therapies for cancer and rare diseases. Tell us a bit about that research, and how's your team going at the moment with those research?
Yeah, Davey, we're in a really exciting place. So Percheron is a little company based right here in Australia. We're headquartered in Melbourne, and we're working on a drug that's currently in the middle of human testing.
Okay.
So we're in a way out of all the lab stuff, all the things, sort of test tubes and petri dishes. We're actually testing our drug in real patients, which is where life gets interesting for a cancer medicine. And we've got a drug that we think has potential uses for a whole range of different cancer types, actually.
Okay.
So we're planning to take it into a new human trial later this year. Just trying to put all the detail into that. But it's really exciting to see the work move forward.
Can you share with us and our listeners what kind of cancer your company is researching in, trying to resolve the worldwide problem here with cancer?
So our drug actually has the possibility to be used in a few different types of cancer.
Okay.
So some of the ones we're most interested in at the moment include lung cancer and breast cancer, which of course are two of the most common types of cancer. You know, just sadly all too ubiquitous. But the drug works in a really interesting way, because what it's trying to do is to use the body's own immune system to fight the cancer. So instead of giving people very toxic chemotherapy and drugs like that like we used to, this drug is a very, very different kind of beast, and it's all about trying to use the body's own immune system to fight the tumor.
I like that. I like that. I heard a few other companies overseas actually try that, and it's very successful in that.
Yeah, David, you're absolutely right. So there's about maybe 8 or 10 drugs now approved that work in a similar way. Ours is a little bit different. It does a few things differently from any of the other drugs out there, but this is a very, very well understood way of treating cancer now. It's really been one of the big innovations in cancer treatment of the last 20 years or so.
Okay.
So it's a real kind of cutting edge area of science to be working in.
So that really important question is, how close are we to curing cancer, really? Because everybody's asking about it. Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Well, look, here's the good news, right?
Yes.
So the outlook for somebody who's diagnosed with cancer today is better than it has ever been. If you look back 30, 40 years, about half of all patients who are diagnosed with cancer would pass within 5 years of diagnosis. That number now is more like 25%. So it's hugely improved. And with some kinds of cancer, it's improved much more than that. The trouble is cancer is really not one disease. It's a whole family of different diseases, different problems, different causes, different treatments, different outcomes. So I think what we're really going to continue to see is progress being made in individual types of cancer. A leap forward in lung cancer, a leap forward in pancreatic cancer, and so on. But we are making fantastic progress. Now, cancer diagnosis is very different today from what it used to be.
As a doctor, I'd like to ask you this question. I've actually saw a documentary, and some scientists were saying our body, cancer is our body immune system of, like, obviously there's diseases in our body and our body is protecting ourselves. That's why they go around and capture all these into a capsule. And they were saying that when you prick it to do a biopsy, then you're actually spreading the cancer cell further. Is there some truth to that? Because I thought that's an interesting theory.
It is a risk sometimes when we do biopsies or even surgery or something like that. If the surgeon or the person doing the biopsy is not very careful, it is possible to spread the cancer cells.
Yes.
That is a risk. And it's one of the reasons why when we do surgery, it's usually accompanied by some kind of drug treatment. Okay. And part of the purpose of that is to try and clear out any little cancer cells that have been left behind or that have been spread around in the surgery or in the biopsy.
That's interesting.
So, Australia is not on the map for technology yet, right? In terms of Australia playing in the cancer research, how big are we compared to the US?
We're small, is the honest answer. The US is really the 800-pound gorilla for cancer research, as is the case in so many things. But there is some fantastic work going on here in Australia. A lot of it is in the lab. So we see some amazing research being done at centres like QIMR in Brisbane and WeHi in Melbourne and so on. But what we haven't been great at here in Australia is the more business-focused task of converting that great research into a drug that patients can take. I think that's the part that we're still learning how to do here. And that's really where companies like Percheron fit in. We're not so much lab research guys. We're about trying to take great research and turn it into a medicine that doctors can prescribe.
So if the US is 800-pound bloody hairy gorilla and we're like the bloody 200-pound kangaroo, we're lightweight. So what can we do to change that? What can we do to let people around the world know that, hey, we are serious with our research. You need to support us and divert more funds towards an Australian medical company like yourself?
Yeah, Davey, look, it's a great question. And look, there's no doubt there's an important role for government here. And we have seen the federal government, both colours, really trying to support this kind of work. There's things like the Medical Research Future Foundation, all sorts of things like that. But fundamentally, I think we need to make it easy for companies to operate here and easy for them to work in partnership with universities and with research, because developing new medicines is a team effort. It's not a job for industry. It's not a job for academia. It's not a job for government. It's a job for everybody working together. Yeah. And I think Australia's learning how to do that. We've seen some of that, for example, with this mRNA manufacturing facility that was recently made. So I think we're making progress.
Okay. With the whole shift in AI, everyone's focused on AI, SaaS and everything. It's a new industry.
Don't you start AI. We talk about AI every single week. Every industry, AI is a disruptor.
And it's obviously changing the scientific field, right?
Yes.
So is AI going to have a big impact here?
I think it's got an impact in certain areas. And I think this is probably true of most things in a way. It's a question of working out how to use it. Most drugs these days are not discovered. They're actually designed on computer. You know, we actually set out to make them on a computer. And that process, AI can make a huge difference with. And in fact, our drug that we're working on, HMBD-002, was in some ways an early pioneer of this. One of the inventors of the drug was not a doctor, not a biologist. He was actually a mathematician.
Really?
And so this drug had a lot of AI in its early genesis. However, we get to a point with any drug where there is no substitute for just trying it in patients. We just still have to do that. And the human body is so complicated, we just can't replicate that in AI.
I mean, at the end of the day, there are good points to AI. One of the doctors came out and saying that when they compare a normal doctor doing X-ray and then going through the X-ray and the result, they say that AI can definitely do a better job than a human being, right?
Yes.
I tip hats off to that.
Yeah,
But
and at
then,
the same time, it can make mistakes, not reading it correctly too.
But then by saying that, I saw in China last week, someone ordered a robot at a restaurant and the robot went haywire. They can't turn the damn robot off. The robot's running.
You don't want that in operating room either.
Correct. So there's a chance you bloody take, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I personally want to bank on a human being, like a doctor who's been there, who's done that, than an AI. So for those who's talking about AI, please stop it, because I think we need humans. We need doctors. All right, you're 2023. Right, we've got real stories to share, right? Amazing. We've got in the studio here Dr. James Garner, CEO from the Percheron Group, and we're talking about how his company is spending so much time and research in finding a cure for lung cancer and breast cancer, and that's something that we all know that cancer is definitely a big disease that's killing a lot of our loved ones. So this is something that we need to focus on. This is a conversation we need to have. And also a big shout out that if you can support the cancer research, please do so. Reach out to us or reach out to Dr. James as well, and then definitely there will be a positive. There's definitely always a light at the end of the tunnel. But when it comes down to science, James, I always don't get the reason why you guys always use some terminology like HMBD-002. Like all this fancy knowledge.
Well,
What is that?
what is that in plain English
Yes,
for our
what
audience
is that?
to listen? Because you
Are you
mentioned
swearing at us?
that in our first segment.
So HMBD just stands for actually the people that invented this. It came out of a group called Hummingbird Bioscience based in Singapore. And so that's what it stands for. And it was the second drug they invented, which is why 002. Personally, I'm a little disappointed it wasn't 007.
Okay.
Oh, yes, yes.
But we'll settle for 002.
Yes. You can always come up with something else and call it HMBD-007, right?
We may have to go there. I
Correct.
think
Oh my gosh.
it's hard to walk past.
But I
007.
think there's one name you should use in your scientific research. It's called the 3 Quirks 007. You will never forget that, mate. You will never forget
That's
that.
3QT then.
So this industry alone is the checkpoint for the inhibitors, right? That's like a $40 billion industry itself. So your company's willing to do research and change that industry?
Well, that's what we hope, and maybe I can step back and just get a little bit sciencey just for a minute here. One of the big discoveries in the last 25 years in cancer is that the immune system plays a vital role in the formation of cancer. For a tumor to form, it has to switch off the immune system around it. Otherwise, our immune system clears out the cancer just the same way it clears out bacteria and viruses. And so there's a whole family of drugs that have come along in the last decade or two which switch it back on so the immune system can fight the cancer. That's this class of so-called immune checkpoint inhibitors. Really, all that means is they're switching the immune system back on. And that's where we fit in. And we're a little bit different from the existing ones. We're trying to target a slightly different part of the process.
Yes.
But the idea is the same. We want to use the body's own immune system to fight the tumor.
Okay. So at the moment, I know there's so many researchers out there at the moment with immune cells and immune systems and AI and nanorobots and all that. But do you feel that our lifestyle has many ways contributed to cancer?
It does a little bit in particular areas. So, for example, we all know that smoking is bad for you. Hugely increases your risk of lung cancer. There's certain foods, if you don't eat a lot of fiber, it increases your risk of bowel cancer, things like that. But by and large, Honestly, not much. Cancer is partly a question of genetics and partly a question of bad luck.
Okay.
And so there are a few things we can do, keeping out of the sun, getting regular checkups for things like breast cancer, skin cancer, and so on. But I sometimes think it's important that people don't feel they're to blame for a cancer diagnosis. And the reality is just bad luck has an enormous role to play.
Okay, so you don't feel that it's a food, because like a lot of people talk about food these days with a chemical, the pesticide that we actually put into our food, and we consume this in our body. And a lot of people over the years are saying that because of all the pesticide and the chemical that's in the food that we're eating, that also contribute to a lot of diseases in human beings.
These days, it's pretty carefully regulated. So there's not a lot of evidence to suggest that any of these sort of individual chemicals in our food make a difference. And if it does, it's probably a light one. There are a few very specific things. So, for example, charred meat, meat that's gone kind of black.
You think that's true? Is there truth to that?
Yeah, there's some, that's pretty clear. That's not bad for you. A well-cooked steak is absolutely fine. That won't do you any harm. But if it's black around the edges, if it's charred, if it's burnt, that's not good.
Wow.
So there's a few little things like that, but they're quite specific things.
Is that because of the charcoal? Because we Aussies, we love our barbecue. Chuck a shrimp on the barbie, wearing our bloody, G-strings out there on a hot day, doing a barbecue. So you feel that could actually contribute to cancer?
Take it off before it burns. That's
my God, okay.
You don't eat food that has charred food on.
No, but when you come to barbecue, right? I found that by barbecue, you use charcoal, the meat tastes better. The seafood tastes better.
Just don't overcook it.
Yeah, but then a lot of people say because you're using charcoal, it's also generating this burn process, and it goes into the meat.
Well, we've got to find another scientist to bring them in and share that for you, Davey. So that we can get this out.
And also somebody good at barbecues, because it's either raw or it's overcooked.
Correct. Are you a chef yourself? You love to cook?
Not great.
What's your favourite food?
My favourite food? Tricky one. Tricky. Just because we've been talking about steak, I'm actually salivating for steak right now. But I'll try not to think about it.
Yeah.
Medium, but not charred.
Yeah. So I reckon let's get to know our doctor here, because it's a Friday. We know that our guests are driving home on a Friday. They've been working all day in the office. So we want to maybe chuck in some fun quiz. Let's have a game, right?
Yeah, we can. But before I do throw you some quirky questions, though, you trained as a doctor but never went back to clinical practice. You obviously love being, in this leadership role, helping with this publicly listed company. Would you ever go back to the clinical practice side?
I'm probably a little rusty now. It's getting on for probably getting close to 30 years.
Wow.
Very rusty. That's very rusty.
So it's probably in everybody's interest that I don't sort of jump straight back into an operating theatre or something.
Yeah, just stick to being a CEO.
But I do occasionally, sometimes you walk past the hospital and you sort of feel like I'd love to just go in and see one patient. But I feel like I'm still very much in the medical field. I'm still very much in medical practice. I'm still part of the machine, but just in a very different
And what did you get into? Why did you become a doctor?
I came from a medical family, so both my parents are doctors. One of my grandparents was a doctor. It's probably in the genes, sort of the family business almost. And I loved medicine. I really enjoyed it. It was sort of all I ever wanted to be. The trouble with being a doctor is that it can really swallow you whole. It can take up your whole life. You spend all your time in a hospital. And I really wanted to get out into the world and just meet different kinds of people and do different things. And it just felt like a more business-focused career gave me those kind of opportunities.
Okay.
And working in drug development like I do, I sort of get to put the two things together, which is incredibly fortunate.
Yeah. Why are you surprised, Valentina? We Asians, a lot of us are bloody doctors. We've got no choice.
We Asians, no.
We have a lot of doctors, engineers, and nurses, because our parents, when we were growing up, it's you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're a dentist, right?
Yeah, one or the other.
One or the other.
And marry one of the
or marry one of those, mate. So we can't talk. So we understand where you're coming from. So it's a history, right? It's a family history coming down.
I'm one of 4 kids.
Yes. But were your parents strict, though? Were they so strict that you have to become a doctor, you have to study medicine, James?
The opposite, actually. They sort of tried to talk me out of it.
Oh, really?
They sort of said, it's quite hard work.
Wow.
And that I think was expected to put me off. But, it's you don't listen to that sort of stuff.
That's mind game. Mind game.
Oh, okay.
So when you tell them don't do it, they do it.
They do it.
So we're doing the opposite. we're doing it wrong with our kids, Valentino.
Well, the thing is, like, your parents were like preparing you for what's to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to be jumping in the deep end and go, "Oh my God, you didn't tell me this."
It can be a shock
Yeah.
to the system without a little bit of preparation. But
So tell me then, let's. What's your favorite thing about being alive? I mean, like, you're a doctor, right? And tell us, what's one favorite thing?
Well, he's more of a
About
chief
being
executive
alive.
officer now.
yeah, so that's good.
Yeah.
my favourite thing about being alive, goodness. Well, it's sort of, I haven't yet had the experience of not being, but look, I'm a snowboarder. And I was
Oh.
just in Japan in January for snowboarding,
Yes.
and if there's anything that makes you feel glad to be alive, it's being at the top of a mountain covered in snow, looking out
Really?
over a beautiful
Wow.
snow-covered landscape. So I would say it's moments like that that make it.
And then you roll over all the way down the hill and you think, damn, that was a bloody hard roll down the hill.
And you think, amazingly, I'm still alive.
And you're still alive.
Only just.
Just alive.
All right, let's get into some quicker questions then. Okay, so you're a doctor who became a consultant, who became a CEO. At what point did you realise you were allergic to doing just one thing?
I think it was always the case, even when I was a kid in school, it would vary almost from class to class what I found interesting. So, and I think it's always been, even now in adult life, over Christmas, I taught myself to code, about 30 years too late.
To code?
Yeah.
Wow.
I learned Python and of course, completely useless from a career point of view. Being able to code now is a bit like being able to drive a horse and cart. But I just feel that it's so much fun to try different things. And I hope I never lose that.
When you say coding, you're talking about computer coding game. That's a $1 billion industry.
Yeah, but AI, right? It's
I actually my cousins, right? Their in-law, he's such a nerd, right? He does coding, and he came up with a game. And guess how much someone bought up? 300 million.
Wow.
They bought him out, 300 million.
Crazy.
And
Wow.
who would have thought that being a lazy bum on a couch, learning how to code...
He's obviously not a lazy bum because
Well,
coding
true.
is not easy.
But his parents call him lazy bum because that's what he does every bloody day, right?
Sitting on his
that's
computer.
He's not a doctor or a
That's
lawyer.
correct.
Right?
All right, let's have a break, right? Let's come back, and then we'll come back and we have some more quick questions here with Dr. James Garner, CEO of the Percheron Group, 89.3 studio.
89.3.
Yes, YB Moody, you shake your booty. Now, there was another interesting fact about Dr. James that you were going to ask him, right? About the fun fact.
Oh, fun facts.
Yeah,
Yes,
fun facts.
yes. Let's
You know,
get that
we
right.
know,
So,
we know that we want to know the fun side of Dr. James as well. We know he's this very smart man, everything else, but let's explore his fun side.
okay, sure. What does a CEO do to switch off at the end of the day, or is that even possible?
Look, it's absolutely a 24/7 job. So it's never, and so is medicine, by the way. So in that sense, I'm used to it. But I like to kind of get out in the fresh air. I'm a big believer in getting out and touching grass. So I go to the beach at the weekend. I try and kind of get out on the water, anything like that just sort of gets you out of the office.
Do you hug the trees? Because I do know that when people say you hug the trees, spiritually, you feel so rejuvenated.
Inside, I'm hugging the trees.
Yeah.
I don't always do it.
You should do that.
physically, because I see people walking their dogs
No,
beside
you
them,
should.
and I think
They wee on a tree. I don't expect you to wee on a tree. I want you to hug the tree.
All right, so, James, if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? And please don't say a perfectly balanced nutritional plate, because you're a doctor.
So I went to a scientific conference in China once.
Oh, okay.
And it was one of those ones where it was all conducted in Chinese and they translated it live. So I really had headphones like the United Nations, you're listening in. And there was a lot of discussion about malignant nodules on the liver, which it's a cancer conference. And the translator kept translating this to malignant noodles. Every time he would start talking about malignant noodles, I would burst out in hysterics. And even now, every time I walk past a bowl of noodles, I think about malignant noodles. So just for amusement rather than nutritional value, I think it would have to be malignant noodles.
Oh, I thought you were going to throw in dumplings.
Yeah, I reckon.
Noodles. That was a surprise.
Malignant noodles with dumplings.
So what's your favourite food then?
Well, so this is a guilty confession, but I feel like I'm among friends here. So I have a huge soft spot for like nacho cheese flavored Doritos.
Oh, yes.
Like I could eat
agree.
a lot of
Really?
those. And it's not by accident because these things are engineered to be addictive.
Oh,
you know,
of course.
the exact amount of
100%,
crunch,
yeah.
That's
salt.
right.
Additives.
They've got fantastic scientists that work on making it so you can never eat enough.
You're a scientist.
And
You would know
I'm
that.
Fully bought in.
All right, next question. What is something your friends or family would say about you that would completely surprise your colleagues at work?
Ooh.
Or is that not much of a difference? Because sometimes people who are at work, you know,
No, but
family-
hang on, hold that thought, right? Just
Okay.
because James here looks like a CEO, he looks like, that doesn't mean that he doesn't get up to the naughty side. That doesn't mean that he doesn't get arrested or get drunk, as St. Patrick's
No.
Day, you know?
No, I am an open book, but what would surprise? I don't think much would surprise my colleagues, but I'll tell you one little sort of family secret that that not many people know, and that is that my great-grandfather was once played in a movie by Val Kilmer.
Oh, really?
So that is my claim. That is as close as I've ever got to Hollywood.
Sheesh.
My great-grandfather played in a movie by Val Kilmer.
I
So-
reckon, you know who you remind me of? You remind me of a very famous movie star. His name is... All the chicks love him. What's his name?
I like the way you're going with this.
Yeah,
Tony.
I'm trying to figure his name. You would know him. He was in a commercial making coffee. It's really suave, always
Not
black.
George Clooney.
George Clooney. George
goodness,
Clooney.
well, I can
You
look
could
at that.
you could pass.
He's looking a little older now. I think
Oh,
he's
is he?
maybe had a bit too much of the coffee because he's starting to wrinkle a little. But
You know, Valentina, I was saying, like, James, he looks like George Clooney. Hey, a little bit like George Clooney.
Oh my God.
I think this is a polite way of saying I've got a good face for radio, right? But,
You sure
Yeah,
do.
but he's-
I know. Well, good for radio. For radio, but also probably a movie star
That's
too.
correct.
Have you thought about a next career in acting?
It hasn't been top of the list, but when I was a little bit younger, I used to get told I looked a bit like Bill Clinton. And
Yes.
Yeah, I never really knew quite how to take that, but
Yeah, no comment. So the question is, have you ever been arrested?
I have never been arrested.
At all?
I have never been arrested
Why would-
at all.
Why would James be so...
I hate to tell you, James, before you came here, I've actually contacted the New South Wales Police.
Right.
And we just want to check to make sure that you are who you are. But now I looked at it, it's actually Dr. James Garner, but this guy's got James Cox Garner, so it's wrong James.
It's
Well,
a
that's a
different
relief.
James.
The closest I've ever got is I got a parking ticket in
on
the city
you.
of Monterey in
Shame on
California,
you.
which I didn't pay.
Gosh.
And they told me that I would be a wanted man in the county of
Whoa.
Monterey. So I'd like to think if I ever went back there, there's like
Yeah.
a wanted poster in the sheriff's
So is it
office.
worth it?
Reward $10, but we'll
Oh
find out.
my
one day.
God.
So what's next for Percheron Therapeutics?
Well, we're in a really interesting place now because
Yeah.
for us, it's all about moving this drug forward as fast as possible. So
Yeah.
it's still going through the testing, and
Okay.
and the way we do human testing for drugs, we do it in different phases. So
Okay.
we've already completed the first phase, which is all about showing that the drug is safe. And the great news is passed with absolutely flying
Yay.
colours, which is a huge relief
Which is
because
good.
your first priority is you really don't want to make things worse. But now we really need to collect the data that shows that it works.
Sure.
Okay.
And that's what we call phase 2 human testing. So we'll be starting that by the end of this year. Somewhere in the second half of this year, we'll be starting that. So the team's working really hard right now to put that together. And, as a doctor who's used to sort of seeing the end result of all this work, I always think that's where things get most interesting, is when you're seeing sort of the result of these efficacy trials. So I think it's a really interesting time for the company.
So you're actually listed on the ASX, right?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Okay, so that means that people can actually invest in the company.
They can. They should, of course, talk to their financial advisors before doing so.
First,
but
yes.
but yes.
Yeah. Okay. And what's the code there for the ASX?
PER.
Yeah.
PER for Percheron.
I was going to say that's a very French name, Percheron, isn't it? Percheron.
It sounds like a Formula One car.
Yeah, it's so formal. You know? My name's James Garner, and I work for Percheron.
I'm the CEO.
I'm the CEO of Percheron, darling.
Yeah.
Percheron. So fancy.
we were trying to give it a little bit of class.
Yes.
So,
I actually quite like it. What does it mean?
so it is actually a breed of horse.
Yeah, it is.
And
That's because your icon.
it's got a little
logo.
horse head on it.
Yes.
We probably went a little bit overboard on the horse thing, but we were trying to think what to call the company. And you know, the trouble is you can call it whatever you like, and it feels weird at first, and then it becomes second nature.
Yes.
You know, it's like Apple probably felt really
True.
strange
Sure.
for a while. And
Well, you know what? You're in the race for the first cancer.
well, that's right. And Percheron horses, they're known for being very dependable, very steadfast, very
Yes.
intelligent.
Yes.
So we
You're,
thought,
you're describing me like a cup of tea there, James. Independable and very
Oh my
challenging
God,
and very
keep
smart.
dreaming, Davey.
Love that.
Anyway, whatever.
No, can I say thank you so much for joining us. Our time is running out. Look, at the end of the day, we do know that cancer is a big problem the world's facing at the moment. We wish you and your team all the best of luck. And if there's anything else that we can help you to get the message out there, please reach out and let us know. And we would love to be there to party with you once the
100%.
trial is success. You know, we're definitely flying to Melbourne.
thank you, guys. It's been really wonderful to be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
much.
Also, for your social handle, is there a website or anything like that where people can reach out to you?
www.percherontx.com.
Percheron, darling, Percheron.
Yeah, but you can go on our social media on 3 Quirks and a Turtle
Yeah.
on Facebook and LinkedIn because we've done a post, and there will be a post this afternoon anyway.
Yeah.
With especially for those viewers who've just tuned in, there is a link of a recording, actually a replay, so everybody can listen to it again.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Have
much,
a good
Dr. James.
weekend.
Thank
and
you,
we'll
guys.
catch up with you next time.